Coronation Street has seen many barmaids over the years, but none was more at home in the Rovers than the queen of the cleavage, Bet Lynch. Julie Goodyear played Bet for more than 25 years.
I think Bet Lynch, for me, is one of the all-time great Coronation Street characters.
No, I could just as easily be serving rum punches on some tropical beach somewhere as best bitter to that lot out there.
She was this kind of young blonde tart, let's be honest. Shocking and very sexy and very flirty, and Annie really didn't like it. But what she also obviously had the makings of was a great barmaid, and in later years, a great landlady, and she was one of the great landladies of the Rovers.
Bet actually went behind the bar when Arthur Leslie, who played Jack Walker, died in real life. There were an awful lot of bets about. So it was a case of picking bits, like the beehive hairstyle and tacky costume jewellery, the leopard skin, which I very much wanted to sort of incorporate, which was then regarded as quite racy, quite sort of naughty. And now, you know, I mean, you'll see in Vogue magazine, the cleavage, the neckline would be that just too low, too low. As in one particular scene, of course, the writers were very, very quick. They'd pick up on things like that. And indeed wrote a very funny scene where I think Annie Walker had lent Bet a dress.
I'm sorry I'm late, Mrs. Walker.
Good heavens! Oh, God, blimey.
That is a sensational dress, Bet.
I never knew you had any dresses like that, honey.
Bet, you've got it on back to front.
With Bet, what you see is what you get. You know you would always get an honest, even if you didn't want a really honest reply. If you asked her a question, you would get that. Non-threatening, unless she's crossed.
You're so cheap, Mike. So flaming cheap.
This was no pussycat you were dealing with. This was a fully grown, fully fledged leopard with bloody claws, you know, and she'd go for it.
Now, come on, spit it out.
Well, only that 2/3 of what goes in that pot comes from me.
We got on very well. I knew when she was going to dry with her words, and she knew when I was. We had a director once, and we had a scene, just Julie and I, in the back of the bar, and he said, "Now then, you two," he was a film director, he said, "I don't want any of your ums and ahs and ohs and oh and all those things." He said, "I want the words just as they're written on there." Oh, my God. Anyway, it was a live scene, this was. And I thought, I've got the first line. I'm not quite sure what it is. So I went hot, and when I perspire, I get hot across my mouth. Julie could see this, so she said my line. Then I said her line, and we did the entire scene, which was about 4 pages. She did all my lines, and I did all hers. And when it came up, I was like a wet rag, you see. We just sat there drinking water, and the director came and said, "That's how I want it in future." I said, "You'll be lucky, mate."
A smile from me. Oh. Have one yourself, this Bet, for bringing a bit of glamour into our lives.
She was so of her time as well. You know, it started off with Annie Walker's mono-bosom. Bet brought 2 bosoms into the equation, so she was your archetypal barmaid to flirt with, as well as to tell you problems too. Like all barmaids had hideous problems with men who took her at face value. And she was a classic of putting her face on to face an audience. She performed in the bar. That was her stage. She would do the heartbreak in the back room, but for her punters, she was always there, completely reliable. That was her world.
2 pints, was it there, Raquel?
Yeah, but I can manage on my own for a while. We're quite, yeah.
No need.
You sure?
I'm quite sure. There's been a wedding in the family, or there's about to be. Let's make a big night of it, eh? Give everybody the first drinks on the house.
That character was a gift, really, and just brilliantly played by Julie. I mean, it was the archetypal wisecracking, flirty, busty, blousy barmaid who truly did have a heart of gold and was also very, very vulnerable underneath. Yes, it was funny and pouring pints and I love at the bar, but for me the brilliant parts were when she was like in her bedroom, or when she was just alone in her living room, or chatting to somebody, a man, you know, and he left and she was left there.
Oh, no, love. You don't get rid of me as easily as all that. I live here.
I mean it, Bet.
Those bits were absolutely superb drama. More of that, please.
Despite Bet's disastrous love life, Julie had a ball playing some of those classic Corrie scenes.
Fred, we're moving!
Put the handbrake on!
I've got it!
When the car went into Tatton Park Lake, you know, with Bet and Betty and Fred driving, that was hysterical stuff.
The handbrake! Pull it up! Pull it! Pull it!
I am doing!
Pull it harder!
I can't!
Tough to film, but then comedy is. But being serious then, you know, you got the Rovers fire. Very hard to control real fire. Very frightening. The first time we did it, the fire actually did catch hold and it went out of control, so we had to set another filming date to redo it. I couldn't care less if people confuse me with Bet, because to me that's very complimentary. That means that I have been doing my job as well as I possibly could, so I never ever find it offensive.
Couldn't you just bang on a bit, love? Give me time to get my face on. You look smashing, love.
Bet was back on her feet in no time at all, and good job too. Those famous shoulder pads were needed for Raquel to cry on.
Dry those eyes, powder that button nose, and I'll be right back.